Okay, so the moon going through the camera. I'm gonna do the timelines on this moon. I probably could have got this moon a couple other times this week, but I was busy wasting time following the followers, tracking the trackers. Um, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to put some Clayton Morris, because I'm doing a Clayton Morris series on my other channel. And but I wanted to talk a little bit about this because that's what these guys are talking about today. So I'm being foot trailed, and they've gone through 5, 6 different vehicles over the last couple of weeks. I'm posting their vehicles here and there, and I'm gonna start this week because they're pissing me off. I'm gonna start posting their faces as well. I won't give any of their other information or anything like that because then that'll be looked like they'll look at it as I'm the bad guy. But they're getting really carried away. If you're taking 3, 4 hours a day to track somebody and trail somebody around, and it's been years this has been happening, but never this bad, never this much. So whatever it is they're up to, they're gonna go for it soon. Oh, look at a little drone. That's something. A fucking drone just flew by. A small fucking drone. Unbelievable. It was going pretty fast too. Yeah, here it is. It's just hanging over there. I don't know if I can get it on a picture. So there's a drone here. It all sounds conspiratorial, but it's not. There's actually a little light on the drone. It's nighttime. Let me get this back in motion here. I'm doing 360s with my camera on this. This is my first time ever seeing a drone like this. And it's sitting about probably a quarter of a mile away from me. It flew by me at a pretty good speed. I don't think they've ever... That was something. That is really something. And then, let me see if I can still see the light. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little blinking light on it, like a regular airplane would be. I don't know how high it is. I didn't even hear it. It's not making any noise, but it went by quicker than I ever seen a drone fly before. And then it stopped over there, and it's blinking, and it's staying around one certain area. Very interesting. Very interesting. A lot of conspiracy theories, bullshit coming to life lately. They're not over where I am, the drone. It's not over where I am, but it did fly by me. And now it's over, like I said, maybe a quarter of a mile, an eighth of a mile. I see another one way over to the left. That's really something. I've never seen that before, especially nighttime drones. And it's a very faint light. That is fucking something. And I mean, I don't drink, I'm not fucked up or nothing. So, I mean, I see what I see, I know what I see. It just happened to go by me at the right speed. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There are fucking drones going around my neighborhood. I don't know if that's, there was 2 of them, so there was one way over there. I'm gonna keep an eye on them now. That is fucking weird, man. Never seen that before. So there's one there. If that was the one that was behind the tree. I can tell by the way they fly that it's a drone. And it's way too low, and I'm surprised that it's not making any noise. That is fucking something. So yeah, I've been being tracked for a while now. And the thing that pisses me off, I mean, I'm tracking them too, but I'm not going to waste too much time on it, but I am, because I want to know who it is that's tracking me, who's following me around. But that's not the worst part about it. As I've been tracking them, I'm finding that they're tracking my family and friends. Because I'm assuming because they're trying to get a hold of me, looking for me to set me up on something or some shit. I don't know. Um, that's what I can only assume. So as I'm finding out that they're tracking my family, now I'm fucking stuck keeping an eye on my family. I mean, it's pretty fucking scummy shit. And I know they're watching my videos and everything. That's why I'm posting their vehicles on there and stuff. Not all of them, but whenever I can get them. Sometimes it's dark out and I don't have infrared cameras or nothing, no shit like that. And I'm not going to be following them around to their homes and doing like they're doing to me anyways. I'm not going to do none of that shit. I don't have the time, and it's a distraction. I'm trying to show you all the true creator, man. Doesn't get any fucking bigger than this. Yes, I know I'm not the person maybe you pictured bringing you this information, but I'm bringing it to you. I'm showing it to you. And you're all fucking looking the other way, man. I don't get it. But anyways, these guys. So the guy with the I'm gonna keep talking about them, and I'll start posting their faces in the next couple days if they're still following me because they're pissing me off. So I gotta to protect myself anyway, because they got 2 new faces that got added. I don't know if it's another agency or not because I didn't track the plates on the vehicles, and I don't think I'm gonna even bother. But one of them today actually beeped and gave me the Tyrus sign, with the 3 finger and the thumb thing there. And gave me the Tyrus symbol and beeped at me. And it was the second time I seen him, and then I seen him once after he gave me the sign. I seen him again. So, but who knows? I don't know who he is. I've never seen him before, and he's not anybody I know. So, but then the old gray-haired guy, he got rid of the Subaru since I talked about the Subaru. He's not doing the Subaru anymore. He went to something else. And then they had that other new guy that was in that 2-second video that I did as I seen him rolling past. Again, you see somebody in different cars 4 or 5 times in your day, even if it's 4 or 5 times in a week, then you should be suspicious and say, what the fuck is this guy doing? Is he following me or what? Not to be a conspiracy asshole, just to know that we're all being fucking watched like fucking unbelievably. And when I'm trying to show people this is real, man, this is real shit. And it doesn't get any bigger, the fucking answers to life. And it's not that you have to take my word or anybody's word for it. I'm showing it to you. I'm showing it to you so you can all go look. And no one goes and looks. This camera's off a little bit. I don't know if it's the weight or what, or if I just don't have the, I thought I had it centered pretty good, but I'll take what I can get. I'm just grabbing the timelines off this anyway, and I'm shooting the shit a little bit about the surveillance shit. So yeah, I found another place to live, because I don't want to bring trouble to my family. And then as I'm following these guys around, I'm watching them because I got to know their routines, I know their times, I know their vehicles, and now I know their faces. So as I've been doing this over the last week or 2 weeks or however long it's been going on, I noticed that they're tracking my fucking family. So I'm saying, what the fuck, man, So I go by them. I put cameras around, and they know this. They know this because I'm posting videos on it so that they do know this. But that's not deterring them. If they can't find me, they start trailing my family. I mean, who the fuck are you people, man? Fucking following kids around and shit, fucking scumbags. So now I have to be a little more careful about everything I do. And I will say, too, following around on foot is much better because what was happening in the vehicle, if I was in the vehicle, I can't stop and turn around. And by the time I do, they may already be gone. So knowing their routine, it's easier to first follow them on foot. And then I park my car a couple miles away so I can track them from there. So once I know that they're looking or where they are, I can go grab a vehicle. And so I can't use my own car. They know the car. So I have to do the same thing they're doing. And like I said, I'm not wasting too much time doing it. I'm just looking to see where they're going, who they're dealing with. So I catch them talking to the other guys that are also that I'm seeing all the time and everything. So if I see them all together, this is weird that this fucking thing did this. I wonder. See if I can fix this. Hold on.
Well, 2 years ago, a man by the name of Dr. Shiva Ayadura exposed deep collusion between the United States government and social media companies, specifically Twitter. Went beyond that, though, to YouTube, to Google. And the mainstream media ignored the story. Some independent media picked up on the story, like the Gateway Pundit, etc., but no one else really covered the story. At the time, he was running for Senate in the state of Massachusetts, and he tweeted some information that the Secretary of State's office in the state of Massachusetts didn't like. When he tweeted, he was then shut down on Twitter, banned, deplatformed. Well, a lawsuit unfolded, and what he discovered was deep collusion between government entities and social media companies with a backdoor portal that allows government employees to basically censor and deplatform anyone they like. This was just the tip of the iceberg, and then, of course, more documents unfolded during these court proceedings, and again, the mainstream media largely ignored the story. And then this week, we hear from The Intercept, which drops a bombshell story, and people start paying attention. And The Intercept published a report detailing a similar portal
Getting cloudy, but I'm
at
gonna keep
Facebook.
going.
But Dr. Shiva broke this story first 2 years ago, and again, the mainstream media
It's not
largely
even
ignored the
cloudy.
story. And
The
Dr.
mineral
Shiva
streets.
joins us now. Doctor, welcome to the show. Last night on the
For
show,
some reason,
a
they
bunch
did
of our
mineral
viewers said,
streets a
hey,
little later
thank
into
you
the
for giving
evening than they
credit
usually do.
to Dr.
Last
Shiva
couple
for
days.
having originally broken this story, and we wanted to have you on the show because there's a lot more here to talk about. Did I get that timeline correct?
Go ahead.
You did. One of the important things to understand is I was running for federal office for U.S. Senate, not for state Senate, for U.S. Senate. And this is very important to understand because there are fundamental laws which were put into place going back to a law called USC 52-20701, which says that for a federal office, every state is supposed to preserve all documents in connection with the federal election. So the tweet that I did, Clayton was bringing out the malfeasance of the Secretary of State relative to them violating that law. That led, as you just shared, with my deplatforming. One of the important things that occurred was after that deplatforming, I didn't sit still, Clayton. I had to file my own lawsuit. No lawyer in Massachusetts really wanted to take on the government. And I represented myself in federal court. And in the first part of the federal court case, I had a major victory, which again, none of the news media covered. On October 30th, 2020, Tucker Carlson knew about it. Mainstream media knew about it. In fact, people at The Intercept were notified, and they did nothing. And why was that first lawsuit important? Because in that lawsuit, again, this is in a federal court, myself and the judge cross-examined the social media director at the Secretary of State, and she admitted that they have this portal between government and, in this case, Twitter. And that portal was exercised on me, a U.S. Senate federal candidate, because they didn't like what I was saying. After that, the judge ordered them to put me back on Twitter. When I'm back on Twitter the second time on February 1st, 2021, I'm again deplatformed because I share the findings of this architecture, okay? That led into the judge saying he wanted Twitter to come into the courtroom. So now it's me against 7 lawyers, 3 from Twitter, 3 from the Secretary of State, and 1 from an organization called NACID. The night before that lawsuit hearing in May, I discover what are called playbooks, detailed manuals created at Harvard, originally created in Britain, which lay out the actual step-by-step way in how government will surveil U.S. citizens, not only U.S. citizens, for that matter, citizens anywhere in the world, and has a methodology for rating them as high, medium, and low severity, and then deplatforming them and continually surveillancing them. So first, I was deplatformed first for exposing government malfeasance, and then I was watched and I was thrown off because I exposed this architecture. Now, one of the most important things is that What we discovered in the May hearing was the playbooks and the entire details of the technology architecture between government and Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, the players involved, the manuals, and the entire thing. This was put into a beautiful network diagram, which was presented in court and accepted as evidence in court. What the DHS leaks guys put out of the Intercept is a dribble. It's frankly very disappointing. And this is something that occurs in academia, where someone will do the deep research of the entire iceberg, and someone will conceal that, delay it, and release it later on, not only to take credit, but to confuse people about the depth of what's taking place. And I say this particular here, Clayton, is because in the diagram that we put out of the entire censorship architecture that we had discovered, one of the main players in that diagram who helped create this architecture, funded it, and was an architect of it, is Pierre Omidyar. Pierre Omidyar is a billionaire who started eBay. He's also the one who funded this architecture. So let me repeat that. Pierre Omidyar, billionaire, funded a significant portion of this censorship architecture through a nonprofit that he owns called Democracy Fund. Well, guess what else Pierre Omidyar funded? He funded The Intercept. He funded The Intercept, which has this aura of doing, amazing investigative journalism. So DHS leaks is dribble of the reality of the massive architecture and the fact that people like Pierre Omidyar create The Intercept, an organ claiming therefore investigative reporting, but Pierre Omidyar is the one who helped create that censorship architecture, and these two reporters who probably want to win the Pulitzer have not even talked about their boss helped create that architecture they're supposedly doing DHS leaks. So I find it...
So there's no mention of you in this Intercept piece.
Zero.
And
it's called plagiarism. In academia, we would call that, at minimum, lack of citation. We will call it unethical. And the reason this occurs, this is a process of how the mainstream media works. It's a give. They know the crime was committed. The person committing the crime also owns a reporters who will report on the crime. And you've seen this many, many times in history. So they can control the narrative and then distract people over here. Oh, The Intercept is our source. Tucker Carlson is our source. When the reality is we were the source, and that content, the playbooks, the architecture, everything has been up on the website for 2 years. And you can go back in 2020 and 2021. A lot of very good independent media, Gateway Pundit and others covered this. And the process here that has unfolded is a process that the government actually uses, which is first they conceal the actual whole truth, they delay 2 years, they steal the information, they hijack it and put out a dribble. And that is what is the nuance, but the real story here. The Intercept owner, Pierre Omidyar, also is the one who funded this censorship network.
Did The Intercept reach out to you at all about this story?
Zero. Nothing. So people really need to recognize intelligence agencies are very clever at doing this. They have this process of where they own both sides of the equation. And we've seen this. It's called getting ahead of the story in PR, right? You've seen politicians, they do something horrible, and then they'll say, oh yeah, their PR guys will get ahead of the story. They release a little bit, and people feel, oh, someone's, we have democracy in America. No, the reality here is that the First Amendment has completely been destroyed. People like Pierre Omidyar, who owns The Intercept, have created the censorship infrastructure in the United States. And that censorship infrastructure was unleashed on a U.S. Senate federal candidate in Massachusetts. And I'm very grateful that you brought that up. You put the origin, you quoted the Gateway Pundit story. It's time that independent media get its actual credit. And we recognize that most of the intelligence agencies have infiltrated American media, including organizations like The Intercept, in my view. New York Times has been written about for many, many years. What we need to understand is that this process of the whole truth, concealing it, delaying it, stealing it, and hijacking it, and giving a dribble of the truth is a process, Clayton, that has historically occurred in many, many fields. Big academia does this to small academics. There'll be some guy in a state school who finds some major discovery. The big academics will not cover that guy. Years later, they'll write about it, never cite him. It's called plagiarism. And why do they do this? Because money is involved in this case, views, right? But more importantly, they want to hold their stature as a source of quote unquote truth. So in this case, The Intercept, this is a big story. It wasn't uncovered by a journalist, it was uncovered by an engineer, by a US Senate candidate representing the people of Massachusetts. Now that is a bigger truth because it says that ordinary people do the hard work, not these quote unquote journalists who do it when it's convenient for them and want to own the narrative. And again, I repeat, Pierre Omidyar is a founder, the funder of The Intercept. Pierre Omidyar is the one who funded through the Democracy Fund the censorship infrastructure, which we have in courtroom documents. So it's time that people wake up. How can you own both sides?
Right, and of course we've had former members of the CIA explaining that process to us on our very show, explaining owning both sides of that story. So there's a long history here. It's part of their playbook. Can you talk about these playbooks specifically? And what did you uncover the night before you had to go back and appear before this judge? Can you walk me through, first of all, who were the authors specifically of this playbook infrastructure? What did it show? And what were sort of the steps people could do to deplatform individuals using this playbook?
Yeah, great. So remember, in the preliminary injunction, the social media director said, "Oh, we have this partner support portal, okay? This VIP access." And when I was getting ready for my May hearing, I couldn't find anything about the partner support portal. So I researched. At 12 midnight, the night before my hearing, I find a set of documents on a server in Britain, written by a woman who was talking about the general counsel at Twitter, talking about this partner support portal they'd created so the UK government could use it to censor UK citizens. That led me to a server at Harvard, at the Harvard Belfer School, where I found all of these playbooks, about 5 of them. What do these playbooks show? What are they? Playbooks. They're actual manuals for censorship in very anodyne terms. So they call the people that they want to censor influence operators, US citizens, or it could be anyone. People of influence like myself, people get a lot of tweets. By the way, I had no bots as my Twitter accounts, right? My followers. All my Twitter, I would do a tweet, Clayton, and I would get 30,000 retweets.
And some people have no views at all because it's so fucking bad for us that we don't have any subscribers. YouTube will turn down the videos. We get what I call street chills. And I'll tell you if this is one of them right driving by now. Let's see. No, it's not. We get street chills. In other words, people that will track us on the street. What the hell? They got to try to find, especially someone like myself, they got to find something to get me on. They have to set me up on something because otherwise I don't do anything. So, you know, this is it. I do my YouTube thing and that's it. And I'm not telling anyone anything that anyone else is telling them. I'm telling you all that you can all see it for yourselves, including the agents, because I don't even think the agents that are tracking me and coming at me, and I don't know what they're up to. We'll see. I mean, I don't usually even talk about it. It's only that it's been so drastic. It's they picked up on it so much that I have no choice but to talk about it. I have to. I'll mention a couple things about like this guy saying no one really knows how far this goes. You have no idea, people. Okay, cell phones. I changed my cell phone number. Every time I change my cell phone number, I don't know why this is, but the same dude calls me twice every time I change my phone number. I change my phone number a couple times a year now because every time my phone gets tracked, they start calling me from tracking numbers, and I know this, and I look up the numbers, and I track them back to their numbers and all that kind of shit. So, but that's a distraction, and it's a waste of my fucking time, and I can't show you guys what I'm trying to show you if I'm too busy doing crap like that. So I don't really like to get into it. It's like a sucker deal, you know? But if I'm not careful, I'm going to not be aware of what it is they are setting me up on. So I'm trying to be careful of that. Who are they? Where are they coming from? All that kind of shit, which I mentioned it on my other videos. two are government agencies. Another one is, all three of them are actually, because the other one is a government insurance agency. So they're government agents, put it that way. I don't know about the one in the truck today, though. I don't know about him. He didn't really seem to me to be a. And then the agents can come in any shape, form, color. It doesn't really matter. You're not gonna know it sometimes when they come to you. They're gonna come to you as a friend or just a regular average person or whatever, a dog walker or whatever, you know. So you have to really be aware of your surroundings when. But most people that you don't think of that because you think it's all it has to do with the internet, and oh, they're only gonna fuck with me on the internet. Well, yeah, maybe up to a certain point, but if they have to come at you on the street, then they will. So we'll see what happens. I thought it was really strange that he beeped and waved. That was weird because I didn't give him eye contact at first when I was on foot. I'm walking. So I didn't give him eye contact, but I seen him out of the corner of my eye again. For the second time of the day, I seen the same face, and I thought it was kind of strange. So he gives me the old Tyra symbol, like I said, and then the phone thing. So I changed my number. I got rid of the old phone and I changed my phone number. So within 2 days, they let me know that they have the address that the phone number is registered to because they sent me mail to that address, and I don't live there. So, but my phone is registered there as a mailing address. So, um, that's one of the reasons why I never stay living in one place for very long is because of shit like this. I'm not saying to be nervous and scared. It's not the point. The point is, it's just facts are fucking facts, and it is what it is, you know. So that's him. Um, and it is what it is. So nothing I can do about it. So, anyways, within 2 hours of me getting a new phone number that no one has my number, I get this call. It sounded very familiar. It was a very familiar sounding voice. And he said, "Yo, you good?" or something like to that nature. "Yo, you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. How you doing?" He's like, "Who this?" And I said, "You called me." Same fucking conversation. Same conversation. The other 3 times I changed my phone number. The last 3 times I changed it. So I'm saying same voice, same everything. So I'm saying this is fucking weird, you know, just within a couple hours, just like last time. You know, the last few times it's always been the same thing. A couple hours later, so I assumed the last time I did a number change, it was because they were in my family's phones as well. And whenever I text them, here's my new number, they're looking at me right away and they have the number. It could be that. It also could be that they own the fucking phone companies, the track phones, the community phones, and all the Obama phones, and all the other phones, and they got a right, at least in their mind anyway, because our rights have changed so drastically, that they have a right to go in there and do what they want. What am I doing? Um, Sorry, I got lost in conversation. Yeah, so what these guys are talking about on here, when I go back to it, it goes much further than this. Um, so they got me by the balls. There's nothing I can do. So my next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trade cell phones with somebody else. They'll have my phone. Let them track that phone for a little while, and then maybe what they'll do is they'll look at who's using that phone or something along those lines and see if they can track it back from them. I don't know what the fuck they'll do. But I'm going to try it because I'm out of ideas as far as the cell phones go. Otherwise, I just got to not have a cell phone. It's hard to get used to it. I'm so used to it now. Anyways, who cares? It's down so much and so often 'cause I take the battery out of it and shit, which does not prevent them from tracking you either because there's still another battery inside the phone anyway. But anyways, it's all just a pain in the balls just to try to show people what they can just simply go see for themselves, whether it's the mineral streets, the something I never talk about anymore, the Metellus is very important, the Metellus, and no, I can't, can't fucking get through to anybody about any of it. It's fucked up. What am I at for minutes here? I think I'm out of time already. I'll have to turn this video on and the next one. Hold on. Oh no, I still got time. Okay.
Okay? Massive traction with 400,000 followers. So in this playbook, first of all, they say, how do you identify someone who should be surveilled? They have a methodology. One of those is someone who says politicians or state officials are corrupt. That's a red flag. This is what I was doing, talking about government malfeasance. So that then goes to playbook 2. Playbook 2 literally lays out a 4-step process, 4 stages. Step 1, identify those people. Step 2, categorize them into severity stages. And in that categorization, they actually have a step-by-step method. Do they have credibility? What is their volume? Do they get traction? Per that step, they have another section in the playbook which is how you rate them, low, medium, or high severity. I was rated as high severity. And when you're rated as high severity, you're watched once, which I was in the first time, and then you're continually watched using algorithms, which is why when we went into court the second time, I told the judge, they didn't honor your order because they didn't tell you that they have algorithms. Once I was put on their surveillance, I was continuing to be watched. So the playbook says you continually watch them and then you eventually deplatform them. It's a step-by-step guide, and it's barely laid. Who were the authors? Guess who the authors were? All my defendants in my case, Twitter, the Secretary of State, and Nassib, were all saying, oh, we don't know each other. They're in the front page of the playbook, Clayton. Their names are right there, Twitter legal, and the defendants' names are there in black and white.
So what did the judge say when you told them that? Oh, they're saying here now in front of you, Your Honor, that they don't know each other. In fact, they came together and authored this playbook together. Clearly they know each other. What did the judge say to you?
So I held up the playbooks in my opening statement, and I said, Your Honor, they've all lied to you. All these defendants know each other. And he was flabbergasted. Okay, this is only supposed to be a 2.
I want to mention too that all the agents, when they're in their cars, they're wearing sunglasses. Some wear caps and stuff like that, but it's just funny that they all wear sunglasses to hide their face, but you can still recognize them from their facial features around the sunglasses. It's a little harder, but especially when you're seeing them up close. That's why I went on foot. That's why I'm biking it back and forth, and then I come around the block on them, and I can get right up on them, so I can get the camera right at them, and I can really get in there. Matter of fact, the old guy, I'm so close to his car now. Every time I can see everything he's got in his back seat, the paperwork and everything like that. He never leaves his car either, that dude. He never gets out. The young kid that was in the silver truck, he actually got out and did a face-to-face, with me. So, kind of like the guy waving today. Same thing. That's more like a face-to-face, really, because he's acknowledging that we see each other, Anyway.
Our hearing in May. It ended up becoming a 2-day hearing. The next morning, the judge comes in, and everyone can go explore it. Any investigative journalists at The Intercept, if they're truly investigative journalists, versus saying they're investigative journalists. But in those transcripts, on the second day of May, the judge said, I got up at 6 a.m. and I reviewed all of Dr. Shiva's evidence. He goes, this lawsuit will be taught in every constitutional law class. Now, here he's a Harvard-trained, Yale-trained lawyer appointed by Reagan. All right? So that's what happened. And it's an explosive lawsuit, and we did it on our own. In fact, my lawsuit was so well done, the vice chairman of Wilmer and Hale, one of the #1 law firms in the world, which represents Twitter, couldn't believe I did my own lawsuit. She said I had shadow counsel. That's how good my stuff was, Clayton. It wasn't like crap work. I had learned how to write briefs. So the point is, again, Tucker Carlson knew about this. Independent media was getting it out there. The mainstream media concealed it, delayed it, and purposely did nothing. What we exposed in May was the entire architecture, not just this little 4 or 5 slides that the DHS leaks did. I'm talking about how the entire architecture, the portal that Twitter used, the portal that Facebook used, and it's all in those playbooks. And then in June of 2021, another 300-page report, which we also documented, gets released by Stanford, funded by the Atlantic Council, funded also by Pierre Omidyar, funded by Stanford, and that long fuse report validates the playbooks, and it lays out all the players, one of them being Microsoft, which is all the DHS leaks guys talk about, which was already in our diagram, Masterson, that they talk about. So it is reprehensible. These people are not journalists. The Intercept is not the investigative journalist. That's what they want to project as. Omidyar wants to project that. Meanwhile, he's freaking creating the censorship infrastructure.
And Glenn Greenwald, who founded The Intercept, quit over censorship and left.
Right.
Left
And
The
Glenn,
Intercept.
I told this to Glenn, email Glenn, because you look, one of my mentors is a guy called Noam Chomsky, okay? And Noam said you should contact Glenn. Nothing from Glenn. I mean, all these guys just want to win awards? Do they not want to give small guys credit? Does it have to be them? Is this what this is about? I think that's one part of it, because they want to get all the views. But the other part of it is we have to recognize that the intelligence agencies are running American media. And this has been talked about many, many times.
Oh, right.
And I think we're seeing, at least in China or in other countries, people say, oh yeah, the government watches us, they own it. But in America, we're taught to believe, oh, the government is here and big tech is over here. But what they've done, as we found out in the Long Fuse report, and in the lawsuit we brought up, they explicitly say that the government knows that they cannot censor Americans domestically, so they wanted to fill in the gaps with non-governmental agencies. You see, at the in-between, so they could launder the censorship. Well, the Center for Internet Security, which Pierre Omidyar funded, is that NGO. Everyone should go research Pierre Omidyar, what he has done in Ukraine, what the news organizations. Who is this guy? And by the way, he's the one who bought PayPal. So it's time people wake up and recognize that the First Amendment, why my parents came here, Clayton, we were lower caste Indians, you know? You didn't have all the rights. We came here because of the First Amendment. And the First Amendment has been destroyed. Forget about Make America Great Again. It's about we got to win back freedom. So the bottom line is this.
It's true.
What
but
I've uncovered out of all of this is that
the thing that sucks is that we waited so fucking long and people are still not waking up. They're all staying in their comas. They won't look at anything based on reality. They just won't. They've been so thickly programmed. Everyone, all of our friends, our family, everybody, these agents that are following me, everyone, they're all fucking zombified. So what do? You just got to stand back and watch it. I've been trying to show you all, anyone that's watching these videos, I'm trying to show it to you. Anybody that's real that's coming to my videos, it was probably a fluke, because most of the people that are on my channel are turning out to most likely, like I thought, be agents of one kind or another. So robots and agents. So if I got 124 subscribers, 120, whatever it is, I don't even know, because I haven't been to the channel in a week or so. I don't know. I don't know how the fuck to wake everyone up, man. I just don't know. I'm showing it to you. Just have to go look. You got to me on a fluke because my videos are being hidden. It's really hard for me to get this information out to anybody because I'm a nobody. I keep pointing that out. When they take me out, I'm gone, and there's no one else that I can see anywhere. And if they are, they're being hidden also, because I can't find them. I can't find anybody showing you all what I'm showing you. And that's why I try to call out people that I think might be real, but also have a name for themselves. hoping that if one of them does turn out to be real, then maybe it would all happen real fast, you know? That we could wake everybody up. I'm looking for the fucking thing. Where is it? Right here. Because I don't know. I mean, was going to stop doing the videos, but then I see that I say that I'm going to stop doing videos, and they pick up even more, and they're watching me even harder. They're tracking me even harder. So in order, I'm sure, to piss me off, and of course I'm going to keep watching them watch me because I want to keep an eye on them. They're watching my fucking kids. They're watching my uncle, my father, my sister. They're all over the place watching different family members. They don't know that. The family members fucking fucking zombified. They don't know. And I don't want to scare anybody either, so I don't say much to them about any of this anyway. Much less than I could. Much less than I could say, because I don't want to, freak anybody out or nothing. But it sucks. It fucking sucks. Yeah.
The only
It's just
way that working people in this country, or for that matter in the world, are going to win is we need to build a bottoms-up movement, Clayton.
Right.
When you look
Right.
at the arc of American history, it's never come top down. If you go look at the 1800s and the 1900s, it's when people awakened, bottoms up, independent of left or right. And we stop outsourcing our stuff, be it Obama or Trump or Bernie Sanders. We have to rebuild a bottoms-up movement. And what I've done since the campaign is at truthfreedomhealth.com, I've taken all that knowledge, a curriculum we've created. We've created our own social media portals for people to privately interact. And we've created a global community now where we want to educate people to think beyond left and right. We want to educate people to think systems and not rely on mainstream media. Build bottoms up independent media. This is a very adolescent way
I love it.
of thinking left or right, or pro or anti.
I love it. And I'll make sure we have a link to that in our show description so people can take action on that. Very, very important work that you're doing on that regard. Before I get you out of here, Doctor, I want to talk about this letter that you wrote last night to Elon Musk, because at this hour, these infrastructures still exist. Elon Musk talks about free speech and getting away from censorship, and this is going to be a platform of Town Square where everyone has an opportunity to speak and not be deplatformed. And yet this portal that you uncovered still exists. What did you say in your letter to Elon Musk last night?
Well, I try to keep it brief. The post I did was, because I'm not on Twitter, I told people, take this letter and, tag and post Elon Musk. The letter fundamentally said, hey, Elon, in two paragraphs, I said, look, I was deplatformed in 2020 by the government. And then when I exposed the censorship infrastructure, I was permanently deplatformed. And I, respectfully asked him to restore me because I'm planning on running against Elizabeth Warren again.
Not going to happen.
I
Not with Elon Musk.
I directed him to winbackfreedom.com, where we have all.
It's all sides, like you said, bottom up. Maybe I'll do a series to this guy if I can stay online. But it's bottom up, just like you said. Elon Musk is at the top. All those fucking guys, they ain't gonna help none of us.
All of the details of the censorship architecture, and I also pointed out DHS leaks is dribble compared to what we discovered. So if Elon Musk, as he has stated, is committed to truly free speech, more importantly the First Amendment, okay, then the first thing that needs to happen is guys like me should be first put on so we can start talking about this. But more importantly, this censorship infrastructure needs to be completely destroyed. And if he's not going to do that, then he is actually supporting government. He's serving as an agent of government.
Right.
And that is what people need to understand. If Elon Musk is serious, he needs to read our lawsuit, look at that architecture, and recognize his former quote-unquote colleague, Pierre Omidyar, who bought PayPal, is a guy who set this up, and the DHS leaks is frankly diversion. It's dribble.
Right. Well, we invited on the journalists from The Intercept who wrote that piece. They told us they were too busy. One of the journalists told us they were too busy. They were slammed. They couldn't appear on our show. And the other journalist we learned is sick. That's what we've been told from The Intercept. So we'll keep our audience updated if they'd like to come on and speak on their side of the story and why they covered a portion of it and why there's no mention of you or Pierre Omidyar in the article, in the piece. It would be fascinating. Dr. Shiva,
Well,
thank you.
I think
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
Intercept should do an investigative report on Pierre Omidyar, their own founder. They should hold a big mirror up to themselves and
Wouldn't that be-
see what that reveals.
Wouldn't that be amazing? I would
Yeah.
love to see that. Yeah, that would be amazing. Now that would be some journalism. That would be some ballsy journalism right there.
Well,
Dr.
the journalists, Clayton, are you and I. That, when they said the freedom of the press, the founders, and they created systems like the Postal Service early on, it wasn't about the New York Times. It was you and I were the press.
Right.
If you go back and read the founders, in 1787, the Postal Service was created as a quote-unquote internet of the time, so you and I could be the press and share information. It's a longer discussion we can have.
Right.
But the freedom of the press was you and I to be journalists. So forget Tucker Carlson, forget The Intercept. They're all part of the machine. And that's what the DHS leaks shows compared to what we did back in 2020.
Well, Dr. Shiva, we appreciate you joining us, sharing this unbelievable story. And I mean, it is believable. Once you dive into the documents, as I have, it's remarkable. So I would encourage all our audience to check out. We'll have links in the description below. What's the best website for people to go and learn more?
So first, I would recommend go to winbackfreedom.com if you want to see all the documents. If you want to go to my personal website to understand my journey to systems, go to vashiva.com. And finally, what's the solution? The solution is you getting educated or being enslaved. Go to truthfreedomhealth.com. Truthfreedomhealth.com. We have a course, we have a community, but we want to build a bottoms-up movement. But you have to learn the physics, the science of systems, which Pierre Omidyar knows, which Henry Kissinger knows, which Condoleezza Rice knows, right? All these people understand. It's time that everyday people have the fire
It's funny,
of the
but they're
science of
trailing.
systems so
They're
they can
trailing
liberate
tonight
themselves.
into the
Have the
nighttime.
keys.
So three
Exactly.
websites,
It's very rare.
winbackfreedom.com,
They usually don't do that.
vashiva.com, and